Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark amove.tv for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett, here with Kyle. How you doing this week, buddy?
I'm doing good. It's good to be back on tanks for this week.
Ooh, you're back on tanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a puzzle every week right now. Sometimes there's no sustains, sometimes there's no supports. There was no tanks, all due to Chen, really. It was all Chen and Muradin's fault.
Because that's all tanks want to play?
Yes, because the tank otherwise, the tank, if you will, Chen's a bruiser, but Muradin's a tank, would go leaping into the back line, and we would just trade tanks. So our Chen would go in their back line, their Muradin would go in our back line, and nobody peeled for anybody. And it was madness.
So it was a quick match fight.
Yeah, it was a quick match fight. And everyone was yelling at the tanks, so I decided, good old Johanna, time to bring her out again. But this time with one big crucial change. Falling Sword.
Okay, nice, dude. I get so excited when I get to go Falling Sword on Johanna.
Now's the time, honestly, man, because if that Chen on your team or that Muradin is succeeding back there and your DPS is wrecking their front line, you're not needed at all. Chen needs your help now because he's being collapsed on. So you just leap over everybody, join him back there, and oh my goodness, the level 20 where you rain down the bolts and then have like a 10 second cooldown on it to use it again is just complete bonkers madness. Plus it's great on Tomb of the Spider Queen because you're this coin bank. One point this week I had 70 coins on me, and Falling Sword was how I held on to such a luscious bank account.
What, just as a get out of jail card?
Yeah, it was a rough one, but we ended up winning that game.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like an exercise in patience.
You don't want to use it that way, ideally, but come level 20, when it's amazing, it totally works out in Rek's face.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. And thank you for saving it, and not just making going Falling Sword being you as Johanna, your job is to now save Chen. Go save Chen, Johanna.
No, it was only if you're totally winning. Back there with Chen.
Good to know.
It's just amazing how a hero, and not even a new hero rework, captured the imagination of perhaps so many Rexars, or not even Rexars, like Muradins. I think Hanzos and Genjis are also playing Chen right now because they're used to like going in the back line and jumping a place. Because I'm seeing so many Chens in my games, and they're not Chen mains.
Interesting. Very strange. Well, we're going to talk a lot about Chen in today's strategy segment.
Yes, we are.
So if that sounds interesting to you, if you are trying to figure it out, I'm trying to figure it out, then that strategy will be for you. Because Kyle, you've been doing some research.
Yeah, it's an interesting puzzle to solve with the old Chen in the game.
Yeah,
so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I've been doing a weird thing where if anyone listens to maybe other podcasts that I do, you may be aware that this was a heavy week, full of a lot of emotions and tough decisions, and so I spent my Heroes of the Storm time somewhere I haven't been in years. Fighting the AI, just getting my robot built.
Judging by the Reddit conversations of the week about tilt and toxicity, I think everyone appreciates you being aware of your own emotions and saying, I cannot handle X. I would like to do AI instead.
Yes, that, and I also have, I would say a mildly salty opinion that these quests are freaking tough to do in live games.
They are, and I've been thinking about that this week. I think the repeatable nature of the final tier of the quest means that maybe we don't need the win factor because
I think
I am satisfied.
I honestly, I think it depends on the objective of each quest, because certain ones, like if it's just win 2 games, okay, cool, as whatever class, that's fine, play the game. But the one to get like 300,000 siege damage, having that require win on top of needing probably in an aggressive scenario at least 4 games to get up to there. If you're playing against real people, like that's kind of ridiculous.
I've been stuck on the fort one this week, mainly because Johanna often isn't interacting with the building while the team is taking it. I'm not exactly condemning it. I'm not giving it a punish. I'm often zoning and clearing that lane before it gets there and helping the collapse and that Chen who dove so deep. So it took me 8 games of wins to get the 8 forts and keeps done, which is bizarre. Also, I don't see people farming when they're winning. Like they're like, oh man, we're totally wrecking you. Stomp town, better farm your forts and keeps. Would we, with a loss there, say, oh, this game is over? They can have the core. I'm going to go squeeze out a fort if it was allowed for a loss. I think that's fine. I'm satisfied as someone who's going to play anyway. And I love the win because that just means this quest goes on, and I enjoy it for the full 2.5 months that it's sitting with us. But Steam Summer Sale started, and there's a big WoW patch, and I'm sure a lot of Heroes casual players say, I want to do your quest, I want my material, and I want to move on.
Yeah, that's fair, man. Again, it's not the end of the world, right? Like this is an extra added bonus. Sure. It's not the crux of the gameplay. But I really like the events, and I really like these types of gamified, larger overarching, almost meta type quests. So I just want them to feel a little less chore-like is all. Oh. And if it is repeatable, I don't know, make the repeatable portion locked behind a win. But I don't think just checking the boxes, for your first completion of the event as a whole really needs to be behind that wall.
By the way, I know you've been playing Vala, and I had the pleasure of playing with a Vala one trick in Diamond this last week, level 125. That's not as intense in some Kerrigans you see or other characters, but their next highest was a 35. So there's 100 levels between whatever else they would pick. Whole team's being like, I don't know, Vala's pretty squishy. We're not sure we want it here. No, let the one trick, just let it happen. And it was amazing. And it was a full multi-shot Vala. This was the thing they did. Multi-shot Vala.
I mean, I haven't done that in 2 years.
Yeah.
I think the last time that was viable, we still had numbers for our ranks.
Right. It was before the heady days of Monster Hunter, certainly. And Vala, I think even around Battlefield Eternity, right? We started messing around with Monster Hunter. Maybe that was the Diablo event.
Yeah.
I don't remember when that rework came out anymore. It's
been a while since like full multi-shot burst, Vala. But
the interesting thing about this is that kind of like our Diablo stomp, our fire stomp, which is just kind of a useless spell until you add talents to it, and why so many people do those big flame stomp builds is because it shores up the entire kit. Your Hungering Arrow's great, your Vault is great. You don't need to augment them to be great. And so this Vala's philosophy was put everything in multi-shot to make that a useful talent, and they completely wrecked face. By the way, I did find the date on that. It is September 13th of 2016 that we had the big old Vala rework.
Okay. So it's been a while. But I agree with you there. I like that. That's always kind of, I think, been Vala's problem. Like outside of a double support meta, it's hard to keep her alive long enough to get value out of her strengths in auto attacking, if that is the way you're speccing her throughout the game. But if you go into multi-shot and you go kind of this, burst, cooldown, and mana limited build, you're getting the majority of the damage that you can do out of the way immediately. And then if you're still alive and the fight's still going on, cool, your auto attacks are already bringing value to the fight.
If you're curious about the other parts of the build, it was Hot Pursuit for that mana regen and movement speed. And then at 13, because they acknowledge their own squishiness in a mage meta going on right now, they did Gloom to great effect. Gloom is the talent where only a 5-second cooldown, you have reduce all ability damage taken by 20% and activate it, consume your hatred. Each stack of hatred gives you 3% ability damage reduction. So you can get up to 50 spell armor. And that's how they avoided being burst down.
That's kind of awesome. And
yeah,
I think I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this. Yeah. Cause I've been, in those AI games, you realize, if I know I'm going to win, Vala makes things pretty quick. And as a result, my Hungering Hero has gotten so much more accurate, Kyle.
It's good. It's good to hit your skill shots, yes.
Yeah. That's kind of a make or break for a lot of Vala players out there. But yeah, anyway, so it's been fun. I've had a very relaxing week in Heroes, albeit not a particularly competitive week in Heroes.
Awesome. Well, we all need those, but I'm glad Heroes could be your game of choice for relaxation.
Yep. Too many people in WoW right now. That new zone's amazing, but it's just a lot of people running around killing Naga right now. Anyways,
that's a good thing though, right? Like the game is alive and filled out and stuff. That's good to hear.
Yeah. I don't want to get into it, but it's a really good patch. It's a very, very good patch. But before we get into the meat of today's episode, before we move into Heroes News, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. That is where you can go and support the two of us creating this here podcast known as Into the Nexus. It's also where we are very close to hitting our next goal of bringing back Weak Sauce, of having an extra podcast where we get to talk about things that aren't Heroes of the Storm. So if that sounds interesting to you, or if you just want to support the two of us and what we're already doing here, head on over to patreon.com/ITN. And thank you to some of our newer patrons, Daz, no last name given, Jan W, and Curly Wink. Thank you for the support, everybody. And just a reminder, we thank in the order that you signed up. So this is not the most recent. This is just next in line.
Dangerously close to that next goal. Really excited about it.
Yeah, we are, man. Yeah, we are. It's great. So thank you very much, everybody. And again, as we've been saying, the support has been really awesome lately. And after the kind of dip that we saw at the end of last year, we really appreciate it. So with that in mind, let's move on to Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
So we've gotten an official post on when Season 3 is coming, and it's coming the week of August 5th, and it's going to be running all the way through the week of December 2nd, Kyle. And we now know all of the changes and updates that will, according to the Heroes team, definitely be landing with Season 3, starting with rank changes, and this is the direct MMR to rank point mapping that we talked about on episode 274 last week. That's coming in with Season 3, and if you want to hear more about that, and you skipped last week's episode, or maybe this is the first episode you've ever listened to, first, welcome to the program, and check out episode 274 if you want to hear more about this direct MMR to rank point map.
Yep, the volatility of your rank points will be greater during wins and losses because it'll be tethered now to your MMR.
That's cool. Although, again, last week they said it should still be in the 200 wheelhouse. So I'm just ready for it to get here because I'm kind of looking at it skeptically. Like, okay, well, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Because if I start seeing like minus 400 and stuff just out of nowhere, I'm gonna be a little tilted.
It's a inflation of the 18, 15, 13, 2 that a MMR adjustment would be into rank points. So we'll get perspective on it. Hopefully it'll be sane looking. We can actually read into it. We can say, yes, that was a master. Oh, that was a platinum. I see how this all came together. Only time will tell, but time is here for this update. As many have been discussing on the Reddit this week, this should have been in game all the time. The rank system has always been a point of contention and will continue to be.
I find that a dangerous hypothetical to live within or to entertain because we don't actually know. We haven't had it in game. There may be serious issues with this system.
I agree.
No. And again, if they need more time, if they feel they need more time, I would like them to take more time to iron it out.
Now is the time. You're in a preseason. If this August 5th date needs to be broken, I would like to broadcast to the Heroes team that is okay. This is not a hard date. I'm all right. Tickets aren't bought to the movies. We can do it anytime you want.
Are you saying earlier, or you're okay with it being pushed even further back?
You can push it further back. I really don't care if we spend the rest of the year in preseason here while you iron this out. In fact, the one thing that makes me nervous about these dates they gave is that the end of the season 3, is December 2nd, which means we're going to have another long Christmas meta, I expect. And that'll probably when the solo lane update hits, which will be the big project of the year.
I think that's going to be the crux of the discussion at what I'm only assuming will be a single Heroes of the Storm panel at BlizzCon.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I am too. And that I'm looking at that December 2nd date, just assuming, whatever gets announced at BlizzCon, it's going to drop probably immediately following this. That's what I'm putting my money on. But let's talk about the other things that are coming with Season 3. Placement games count are being reduced. It's happening. We're going down to only 3 placement games before we get placed in Storm League.
Woo!
That's a lot of games cut off, and I'm happy with that.
That's all you need because you're actually tethering yourself to the MMR in the first place. Your first 3 placement games were the most volatile ones. And after that, things would pretty much steady out. We saw this if you placed late, you would go, gold, plat, what? Oh, okay, now I'm stuck where I ended up.
Yeah. I'd like to talk to somebody from the team about why they feel they need placement games at all anymore.
I think it's hard data to pass on. I fully believe that the mystery, the chess, the what's beyond the curtain just causes such an influx of players that they like having that popularity spike.
I mean, you could still... Well, okay. Remind me of this point when we get to rank decay.
Okay.
Also... coming in with Season 3 is that promotion and demotion games are going to be removed. Another thing we discussed last week. But yeah, you're just going to go between league tiers and divisions as you earn or lose your rank points, which is a bit of a double-edged sword, but this is just a simpler system to wrap one's brain around. It's more one-to-one. Yes. This is how I always wished it was. Even though
it's just silly.
Kyle, I guess this is the one question on my brain. Are you going to miss that charged up disco ball?
Yeah, seeing it explode, it will be sad to miss. The stream drama is certainly going to be lacking. There are moments, I see this in chat all the time. We hit demotion, we hit promotion. Oh, I was going to leave, but I need to see this next match since it is demotion or promotion. And that kept the energy flowing in a room. I think it's fine, though. And no one wants to seesaw against that demotion promotion. And plus, if you are getting lucky at those walls or getting unlucky at those walls, you are now further dividing yourself from your MMR in the first place. Because let's say that you get to demotion, you win 202. As I sometimes do, but then you lose 2 in a row, and now you're back at demotion, but you win 1 and you win 202, and now you lose 2 in a row. Your MMR is way below where you've been able to keep this. So these 2 changes happening at the same time are a must.
Yeah. It would be very weird, very confusing if they were keeping demotion and promotion games in place for that reason. Because, it would work in the other direction as well. If you're getting unlucky on the wins, your MMR could be moving up while your rank stays the same.
Yeah.
But, yeah. All right, let's talk about rank penalties. So leaving a ranked draft lobby or abandoning a ranked game is going to result in a 500 rank points penalty. It's a little steep. It's a little steep, and I love it.
It's punishing, yes.
If I mean, again... if they just wanted to send an employee to your house to kick you in the shins, as an additional, I'd be okay with that.
Right. We can let's just wash over that you might lose internet for a moment while you're in draft. And it's happened to all of us. And we've all had leavers on our teams because of internet. It's just a known evil. It's better to have some punishment for those who do it intentionally.
Yeah. It can be abused. And you know, we've all been there, right? We're just like, oh, they clearly disagreed with that pick. And they just rage left draft. So I'm happy to see this. And also the old lever penalty isn't going away. This is what we've known forever now of having to play X amount of quick match games with other levers. That's still going to be in effect. That's not going anywhere.
The interesting thing about this ranked leaving penalty is that you will regather these lost points over your next couple games, which is really, really important, because if it does accidentally happen, there needs to be a way for you to get retethered with your MMR. And that was my big concern about them continuing the system. When they said they were going to put the two together, what happens to punishment points in this case? You are then going to untether yourself from your MMR again. And there is a catch-up mechanic there to make sure that these still line up. But they want you to feel bad about it, which fine.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't specify how many games you're going to have to play to recoup these points. They just said you can redeem the points lost by playing ranked games. They also use the word slowly. So yeah. I think it's going to be more than a couple games. But you're right. That makes sense. I mean, it's the same concerns as if they had kept promotion or demotion games in, right?
Right. We just be replacing one broken system with another. So good foresight. Well done, team.
Yes. I like it. I like penalties, and I like thinking about how those penalties might affect your new MMR system. And then ranked decay. All right, it's coming. It's coming to Storm League. And like Hero League before it, the decay is only going to affect players that are in Grandmaster, Master, or Diamond Leagues. The big new addition with this is that this decay is also going to affect unplaced players. It's going to affect them if their MMR is equal to Diamond League or above. So if you ended a season in Diamond League or above in this new system, and you're just, for whatever reason, sitting around not doing your placement games, you can decay behind that curtain. So keep that in mind. Do your placement games. And this was where I was kind of leaning in my discussion of I'm not sure how much I personally don't understand why we maybe even need placement games anymore. I think you just need to start playing in the season, and I feel like you could still have this type of rank decay happen until you start playing Storm League.
Right. Isn't that what's happening?
Well, I'm saying just get rid of the placement games entirely.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like, are you ready to play? Cool. Or like one game. Just like, let's do this.
No, I get you, because now you're being like, behind this curtain, there is the most beautiful flower, but it's rotting, and you need to get to it now.
Right.
That's weird. The cake is going bad. You're right about that. I still feel like the influx of players and the chance of seeing where you end up is such a carrot on a stick. They don't want to get rid of it yet.
That's fair. That's why I'm saying, like, if we haven't had a dev interview in a while, if we could get one. Hey, hi, Heroes team, if you're listening. This is something I'm really curious just about, the whole mentality behind placement games, where their head is at, that kind of stuff. But anyway, back to the actual rank decay. Let my hypotheticals aside. This is good. It's only going to affect Diamond and above. How do you feel about that? Were you hoping that it would extend a little lower into your platinums, maybe even your golds?
No, I think if you end up in gold, you are in the bell curve, and that's going to cause our smurfing issues to arise. Because you're not smurfing then, you're just late to the party, and you know exactly where the beer is. Like, it doesn't help anybody to take platinums and put them in gold. Plats have a understanding of draft that helps them win games and to put them in silver and gold is just atrocious. It's not that their skills are even better. I see plenty of really skilled gold players, but a lot of them are one tricks or play like they're winning all the time, and that's nothing against them. But when you know how to win the draft, you have an effect on the entire game, and it feels even worse than it was. We can't take those people out. If I were to change one thing and add one thing to this entire business of ranked points, I would like all of Masters and Grandmasters to have a forced downward push. When you lose, you always lose more than you will ever gain. And you have to be graciously in the positive to stay in Masters. And I think that would fill out Diamond better. It would make, at least in the load up screen, more even looking matches. Because I end up with Masters and Grandmasters all the time, particularly if they're, with a plat or something like that too, because then you're just kind of filling out that MMR game.
It's interesting. So you're championing a more aggressive Masters and Grandmasters system, because if it's already lumping you all together, it seems less important, the delineation between those three leagues, those three upper leagues.
And like we talked about with Not Paradox, the disappearance of the leagues into points means that losses don't feel as bad in the first place, particularly when you're breaking even in Masters. And you can go low diamond, which is still kind of plat diamond-ish, and then mid diamond, where things get really, really serious mode, to high diamond, where all of a sudden you have weird clowns in your game from Masters because they don't care. They're already Masters. They just want to play whatever's fun and new to them. And then in the Masters, where it can just be insanity again, and with a couple of one tricks running around, which kind of like steady out the game, but still make it insanity. And you wish you were back in plat diamond where people were taking it seriously. It's a weird system.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm picking up what you're laying down, even though it doesn't affect me personally.
but wouldn't you like to know that when you see Grandmaster number 1, that they just win games upon games, and they haven't been it's not inheritance from a previous season.
Right. I mean, for the whole Storm League system overall, that seems to be what they're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
Especially for the upper echelon of leagues. So yeah, I mean, why not take it a little bit of a step further? I mean, you gotta imagine they're thinking about this, right?
Totally.
Because look at, I mean, everything we're not even done. We haven't even talked about damn ranked seasonal quests yet. But for the most part, we've covered all of the things that are going to affect your league movement, and such. That's a lot. There's so much here in what will be coming in season 3. So I can understand where, if they were thinking about what you just kind of talked about, it would mean maybe they're like, well, let's wait on that. Let's work on it longer. Let's see, baby steps.
You're also affecting 1 to maybe 3% of the player base, given on the time of year and popularity of the game at the moment. It's not an issue. It's more important we have ranked quests and keep people playing.
But Kyle, but that upper echelon is who's streaming, and present company excluded, who is complaining the loudest.
Okay.
I'm not saying that everyone who returns to this game comes back and just immediately starts complaining and adds a lot of negative opinions to my games, but it's certainly a common occurrence.
Right. The main negativity from streams doesn't flow from Grandmasters, and oftentimes Grandmasters are just players who love playing this darn game and would never possibly stream because they're too busy playing. This is what they enjoy. Is, again, you can call it a grind, but to them and to anybody who enjoys gameplay, it's not a grind, it's fun. You're just playing for fun. I think that we can't allow those people to win. What really has always buttered my biscuit about pro and tournament play is that they're not playing our game anyway. So let's not cater to that.
Oh yeah, totally. No, but I think your system of probably pushing significantly more players down into Diamond than are currently in Masters and GM would in a way, I think help alleviate some of these concerns, because the mixed ranks of GM, Masters, and Diamond all ending up in games together is a common point of contention.
Right.
With these high level players. So I don't know. Anyway, I think what you suggested would help with that, because it would just make it more kind of black and white. If there's more players in Diamond, the chances of ending up with more, well, I don't know. It's just, if you're further reducing the Masters and Grandmasters pool, it's probably also exacerbating that issue. But
you exacerbate an issue in Diamond where we can deal with it and draft alongside. Most people have a thick enough skin just from playing the game that one GM raging at you for playing poorly isn't going to ruin your game, and you won't take the Reddit to do it. I fully understand silvers, golds, even platinums getting really upset when they're trolled or smurfed, because they're just playing for fun. And they don't have this back knowledge to comfort themselves with. I mean, when I lose a game on Johanna, it's really easy for me to be like, well, I could have maybe hit my Iron Skin sooner. I got Brightwing polymorphed a lot, and I should have noticed that in the opening engagements, and I could have dodged a lot of the issues that caused me to die on a character that shouldn't be dying. But I also take comfort in that Zeratul was a bot, or that, Hanzo didn't play right, didn't hit their skill shots. And I can deduce with my game knowledge a safety system of walls that let me keep playing. When you don't have game knowledge, people are just mean. And you can't just say, well, you're wrong. Good luck to you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we got off the beaten path a little bit there. Let's come back to Rank Decay, because there's a lot of what I'm calling the fine print of how exactly Rank Decay is going to work, how it may affect you if you're Diamond or above. So the rules are, at the beginning of a ranked season, the inactivity timer, this is what kicks on and starts your decay, will be at 10 days. And by playing ranked games, we are going to be able to earn extra inactivity time, Kyle. By playing, we'll be able to actually take longer breaks without incurring rank decay, according to this outline, up to a full 30 days. We can earn you can earn a month vacation from Heroes of the Storm if you would like, Kyle.
Sure. Yeah.
It seems a little long. Frankly.
Yeah, no, and this is how it worked in the past too, particularly during the Hero League days of last year.
Yeah.
I would accrue up to 30 days and then take 30 days off because the queues were so long.
Yeah. I still think that's a long amount of time in a game where, yes, updates have slowed down, but they haven't slowed down by that much. We are still seeing frequent changes to the balance of this game multiple times within a 1 month period.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Then when the inactivity time expires, players will be considered inactive, and inactive players are going to slowly lose their MMR and rank until it decays below Diamond League or Diamond League level MMR if you are unplaced, until you then go and play yourself a Storm League match and then turning off the rank decay for yourself.
No big deal.
Yep.
Plat is achievable.
Yep. And by playing just a single game, by the way, say you've burned your inactivity timer down to 0 and you have started rank decaying. After you play a single Storm League game, your inactivity timer has then been reset to 3 days.
Sounds like with our ranked seasonal quests, if you were encouraged to play a whole bunch on season release, get placed, and then enjoy the quest line, you would have 30 days off to go do whatever else you wanted. And there may be a whole nother event that brings you back then, starting this sort of once a month Heroes cycle for our players.
Yeah. And the other thing that might keep you playing is ranked seasonal quests. So special seasonal quests, quest lines, they're calling them, are going to be coming into the game. It's going to consist of 4 quests, each requiring a player to win a certain amount of Storm League games, and each quest will yield increased gold rewards. They didn't go beyond that, though. They said they're going to be sharing what ranked play rewards will be in our next blog closer to the 2019 Season 3 launch. So it's considering it's August 5th for the launch of Season 3. Well, we're probably going to have to wait 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks.
Gold rewards? I thought we were going to work in the portraits, the mounts, and all that sort of business.
That's what they said here, increasing gold rewards. But if they're saying we're going to be sharing what ranked play rewards will be in, Like there's got to be some more, right? Like why would there be a blog? Otherwise, it's like you're gonna get 50 gold, then you're gonna get 100 gold, then that doesn't require a blog post.
No, and I have but right now I had 40,000, but I bought myself the Reaver because I need it for my Protoss heroes, except for Alarak who can't ride it, which is just tragedy. But I'm at 30,000 gold. I don't need gold. Or you can give me ways to spend gold. Either way, what's the gold for?
To convert into shards, Kyle.
Yes, so I can get. That's true. That's true. All right,
and re-roll your chests.
Okay.
I've been re-rolling the crap out of my event chests. The return of Master Skins. That's what it's for, Kyle.
I mean, I just want everyone to have a chance at the epic version of the mounts. That's what I want Final Quest reward to be.
Yeah, I do too. I don't want mounts to go away, but I would understand if they did.
Or, oh my goodness, here you go. Give me the mount that everybody gets just for playing, and then let me buy for 10,000 gold the upgrade to that mount. And you can be devious about this. You can say, well, yes, here you did it. You played your games. Here's the red, the blue, and the green. And each one is 10,000. I will happily upgrade one of my mounts for 10,000 gold.
But can I accrue 10,000 gold also through this quest system?
But you've also got daily quests going on in the background. You've got the event going on, and then you have the seasonal quest. And with heroes releasing as infrequently as they are, you shouldn't not have this gold. Unless you're re-rolling all your chests.
Gotcha. I guess I'm not following. I thought your biggest concern was just the mounts going away, which, since they're not mentioning mounts, I am mildly concerned about.
Yes. Because they say rewards here with unknowns, I still think they might do the mount for, was it Platinum above and then Masters? It's so archaic. People want mounts. Mounts are great. They're great rewards. Give them away.
Yeah.
You put work into this thing. Let people have it.
I want people of every league to just have a fun reason to keep playing.
Exactly.
But yeah, you can read everything we didn't mention over on the official blog post over at heroesofthestorm.com right now. In other news, this came out of a Reddit comment. There is no solo queue button incoming. This comes to us via Blizz S. Morozov. Essentially, it was a detailed response, but the TLDR on it is that no solo queue is coming for Storm League. Sorry.
This was something we talked about almost a year ago now, that there may be a opt-in Storm League button where you could say, I personally would only like to fight other solos. Would you please find me a match with other solos? And those who do not check the box, who are playing solo, could end up in the Team League queue, as it were, or in the solo queue, because they don't care. That is not happening. I
don't see a universe where this doesn't just reintroduce all of the same issues we had before with this split between Hero and Team League.
Yeah, that's the ultimate issue here. And as they've said, their sort of experiments have showed that we would just be back in the same Hero League queue pile. And in order to make it work, it would have to time out. And if you cared that much with the timeout, then you would be unqueuing and re-queuing. And then you'd want a button that says, please do not time me out. And it's just messy. And I do agree there's work to be done. There is a hard wall at D2 for all solo players where things just start getting stacked weird against you, because so many people in the higher echelons of those ranks are stacking queue. It sounds bad, but they're playing with friends. Nothing wrong with it. But it does mean that you can't go as far as you once did. But then introduce another idea. Oh, well, I'm Grandmaster. Well, are you solo Grandmaster? Well, no, I'm 3-stack Grandmaster. Oh, well, that's not as good as solo Grandmaster.
Whatever, you can take that as I don't give a crap about your opinion in that regard.
Yeah, if you want to belittle someone else's achievement by asking if their achievement is as achievable as your achievement, did you win Pokemon with rare candies? Like, who cares in 2019? On the bus, you can fight about this, but third graders have stuff to fight about. I'm not going to take that away from
I believe the answer is a sad amount of people care, Kyle, but I am not one of them.
Okay, yeah. Well, we got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, exactly. So no solo queue button coming. I never thought it was going to come, and so I'm not surprised. I guess is my takeaway there.
I wouldn't use it because I want games.
Hey, we heard from Mike Morhaime on the subject of Heroes of the Storm, Kyle.
Yeah, he's been on a bit of a freedom tirade this week.
Yeah, it's this comes to us via an interview with VG247, and they basically asked him why he thought Heroes of the Storm, in their words, failed. And he led with, first off, that he thinks the Heroes team made a great game, but he continued saying, quote, "One of my regrets is that we didn't pursue Dota early enough. Dota was very popular when we were very focused on World of Warcraft at the time. There were more people playing Dota than Warcraft 3. And yeah, I mean, you and I have batted this back and forth multiple times over the course of our life talking to each other. So it's really interesting to hear these words just come out of Mike Morhaime's mouth directly. But
he does go on to give some perspective in this means, saying, and frankly, we had our hands full trying to support the growth of World of Warcraft. We felt like focusing on Warcraft was the right call at the time. In retrospect, boy, and I love that he included that, if I could go back in time and say, you know what? Why don't we have a small team that focused on doing something with Dota? Or why don't we include Dota with the launch of StarCraft 2 and have a mode or something? When we think of it in that style, it is perfectly understandable why it was passed on. And even still, it's weird to think of all we can call them missteps, but they're experiments in new financing of video games. You had World of Warcraft that just took everything they had and was a huge success. And of course, with BC, Wrath of the Lich King and all that, while I was playing Dota at the same time, they made those expansions to the fullness of their abilities. And you also hear rumors that that's the original team. But by the time of, the Grand Tournament, that was a new team of new people. And the Warcraft people would move on. That's all rumor and scuttlebutt and whatnot. Then they went on to work on Overwatch, which was going to be their big Project Titan new MMO, and you can see how this Dota thing ended up on the sidelines. And whether or not you want Blizzard to be the successful one, whether or not you're concerned that you could be playing the most popular version of a MOBA with the real characters, there's a lot of frustration flying around right now that, things like Underlords, right?
Yep, Dota Underlords. That's the official Valve auto chess, and then whatever the hell League of Legends version is called, and then we have just straight up auto chess. And yeah. Oh my god, dude, did you listen to last week's instance?
I did, yeah.
My lord. Yeah. If anyone's curious about what Kyle's talking about, last week's episode of the instance got into the frustration of why can't Blizzard just try making something fast and jumping on a trend for once in its long history. And I sympathize with that concern, but I also am not surprised because they're just doing what they have historically done. And Hearthstone was a big experiment that paid off. Heroes of the Storm was an experiment that, in the grand scheme of things and the larger successes that Blizzard is used to of seeing, did not pay off.
But I think it did, but in a different way. Payoff meaning monetary and popularity. The weird thing about this statement that I feel like a lot of people reading it are just seeing the drama and going, oh man, it could have been, I could have, instead of Axe, I could have had Garrosh. Or instead of Juggernaut, I could have had a Blade Master, Anti-Mage Illidan. Like, it's just, I'm playing Overlords and I love it, but it's stupid that I just can't have my main characters I love, and I wish Heroes would have been Dota so long ago. But we wouldn't have Heroes if it wasn't for the years after Dota that Dustin Browder and his team decided to make all these changes, like getting rid of items and making a different objective-based dynamic game at half an hour.
Well, that's where we talk about the coulda, woulda, shouldas, right? You don't know, because like if Mike Morhaime's wish that he could go back and assign a small team to it could have came to fruition, maybe they would have landed on similar themes to what we have in Heroes now. So I get what you're talking about, where Heroes being the MOBA that you and I prefer to play is the way that it is because of the history that actually played out. So I agree with you there. I'm just talking about just in general, like it lost out on popularity and it lost out on profitability. So
true.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to say that Heroes was a failure when you look at, while you ignore all the other weird things that happened around that time, like Diablo 3 real item shop, the StarCraft licensing feats they tried to pull with hosting your own tournaments, basically making StarCraft a TV show to be bought by networks, and how that was too expensive to run in the first place. And people ended up going back to Brood War for a time before they fixed all their issues with running those games in public places. Blizzard was, I think, shell-shocked by Titan and their own success with World of Warcraft. And I do not think Heroes in its current form would exist if they had simply made Dota. And I can say, like, I hate junglers because they're just going and getting money and never interacting. The game's too long for Dota and League of Legends. What it really comes down to is there's some serious bloat that the Heroes team has just been able to avoid, like couriers. Couriers are so bogus. It is a unit you control as a team that delivers items to you, so you can't shop in a relaxing way back in town because you're too busy microing. This is why I stopped playing StarCraft as well, the main game, because they said, well, pro players need more to do. So we're going to have mules and just spraying eggs on your hives. And you're going to have all this bonus bull crap to do in the background because pros have to out micro you. I'm having way more fun in Heroes right now, and I'm happy everything went the way it did. And that's not even a defense. That's me personally. I'm happy things went the way I did.
Oh yeah, I mean me too. It's just that for the purposes of Morhaime's comments here, I think it's just kind of fun to put your brain in that hypothetical. But you're right. I mean, the game is the way that it is because of the path and the timeline that it trekked. There's no way to know what the hell it would look like otherwise. But it's certainly very much been on my mind lately because of the explosion of auto chess. Because suddenly I'm having to stare at frickin' the budget, like, Chinese knockoff versions of all my Warcraft characters again. Like,
yeah, Spider Boy and Ant Lad and Captain Freedom.
Exactly. Yeah. Or just, an Avengers game made by Square Enix.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they can't afford Robert Downey Jr.'s face.
They can afford artists that can draw things that aren't ugly.
I mean, his hair alone is just bizarre.
They all look like Barbie and Ken dolls, and it bothers me a lot.
No, that's fair. And I am happy to have this conversation, by the way. I don't want to come off as defensive just because I like the current game. I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder right now because the auto chess thing, it's a nice distraction, but it's so passive that I personally am very bored playing it. I quit when I'm winning. That's why I play tower defenses, because I want to lose. That's why I love games like They Are Billions, because I lose 90% of the time.
Hey, hold on. Are you saying you, Kyle Fergusson, have been playing auto chess and are just winning too often?
Yeah.
Are you playing on your phone?
No, I'm playing Underlords.
And you're winning too often?
Yeah, I get bored.
Really? I find that hard to believe.
It's like the struggle of original auto chess that I know, I introduced you to was the time limit. The items were completely bogus and really hard to attach. It was really hard to use your courier. You were constantly misselecting things. That's the mules and the queen sprays on your hive bullhockery that made the game more interesting. Funnily enough, now that it's actually well made and well designed, I'm bored.
I would like a little more micro, but yeah.
And I have the same problem with Hearthstone. It's not that I win Hearthstone nonstop. It's just that it's so random in many regards. And at least in Magic the Gathering, I am sitting. If you're taking too long, please stop. But I'm glued to my seat because I can cast a counter spell and do something during your turn.
I can't. I don't want to comment on this because this could be like a 3-hour conversation.
Sure. Yeah. Right. It's very RNG. It's weird. I do think that there is a place in current gaming, a philosophy that is, we should let people win 10% of the time by dumb luck because that'll keep them playing. And I say, no, it should be skill based. Sure. Dumb luck. I mean, sometimes you have a stomp and you're just like farting off on Convection Kael'thas and you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Everyone did everything for me. I never got dove anyway, so Convection was great. I'm not dissing Convection, by the way. That's a whole nother conversation. Let's just move past it. But sometimes you didn't play amazing. Everyone was around you and you just looked amazing. And that's what RNG games to me are like. But all the time.
So vehemently disagree with you.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But I also know I don't like pumpkin pie. And people, everyone's like, the pumpkin pie is coming. And I'm just so disappointed out of my mind.
Oh, man, dude. Oh, man. I don't know where to start.
Caused me to have such a cosmic view on the world. If anyone's like, how did Kyle get this view of the world? Pumpkin freaking pie at Thanksgiving gave me this view. Watching everybody on Earth be so excited for a disgusting thing in my mind, which gave me acceptance. All right. You can do whatever you want in your life because I don't like pumpkin pie, but you might love it. And so I love tower defenses. I love losing. I want to never win a tower defense. Maybe 1 in 1,000 games I finally pull it off. Skeebies in Warcraft 3 is the tower defense, the best one ever because it's impossible to beat by yourself. Like life.
I don't know how to even start getting into this conversation without getting so far away from heroes for so long that I would like to move on.
Okay, that's fine.
And also, someone has decided to start up a weed whacker literally outside my window. So if that's coming through, I apologize.
I can't hear it over the cries of my own passionate speech. So
boy, yeah. Apparently, my TLDR. Apparently, you need to play some Underlords with me because I have never even been close to being bored because I was winning too much. So we should play some Underlords, dude. Anyways, before we move on and talk about some Chenage, we have a sponsor to thank today, dude. Away Luggage is back. They're back, dude. They're sponsoring this episode. And if everyone out there listening. We were really excited when we got our first sponsor for Into the Nexus. And so big thanks to everyone who's going to awaytravel.com/Nexus and checking out their offerings and picking yourself up some nice luggage because it does seriously help support the show. So thank you very much. If you are unaware of Away Luggage, maybe you haven't heard a previous episode where they have sponsored it. They just make really nice luggage. Kyle, you and I, we've talked on and off about the fact that until Away was like, here you go, here's some luggage. We'd like to sponsor you here. Take a suitcase. You and I had pieces of luggage that were barely being held together.
Yes, hand-me-downs and two-wheeled shoulder-breaking contraptions.
Yeah. The shoulder pain is a big one.
We're tall guys.
We are. Yeah, but the Away piece of luggage here it's the nicest piece of luggage I've ever had. I really like it because, I mean, there's so many damn features, but my favorite one is that both sizes of the carry-on, whether you get the small one or the aptly named bigger carry-on, they both have an optional battery that has its own compartment on the outside of the suitcase. The battery can be removed so you can, charge it easily. You don't have to wheel the luggage up to your outlet and plug it in. You can actually just pop the battery pack out, charge it up, throw it back in, and go off. But it's great. It's great if you're like, if you're like Kyle and you're just burning through your battery because you're such a god at auto chess, that you just like
less battery because I'm winning. Anyway,
I'm winning so much
Yes.
that I'm just on this win streak and I have no battery left. You don't have to go find the one outlet next to that person that's all knees at the at the terminal. You can just
the weird glowing white table on the pedestals where you have to use bar stools for some reason. I'll give you the real answer. This thing saved my bacon traveling because I play the crud out of Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic on my phone. That's my travel game of choice, and I loved having a built-in battery as well as a damn stylish bag that it slipped into like I was some sort of Tony Stark.
I do dig that. I like the dirty laundry bag a lot because it's waterproof. You can put your swimsuit in there. You know me. I'm always the guy at BlizzCon like, hey, let's go to the hot tub. No one ever joins me. I got to get in the water, man. I got to get in the water. It's dry in California. So that little waterproof laundry bag, it helps a lot. I'm a creature of the swamp, sir. I'm a creature of the swamp, and when there's not water in my air, I start to dry up like a sponge. But yeah, it's great luggage. It's got all kinds of other great features on all of the luggage. They have TSA-approved combination locks. I mean, like the lock won't move when it's in place, but the TSA can still check it. They've got that internal battery. There's a 100-day trial. You can travel with it. You can travel with it, and if for whatever reason it doesn't work for you, you can return it, no questions asked. There's also free shipping on any away order in the lower 48 states. On top of all this, they got a great deal for Into the Nexus listeners. You can get $20 off a suitcase when you go to awaytravel.com/Nexus and use the promo code Nexus during checkout. Again, just go to awaytravel.com/Nexus, use the promo code Nexus during checkout, get yourself $20 off a suitcase. You'll let them know that Into the Nexus sent you. You'll get yourself a really nice piece of luggage, and you'll support the show in the process. So we thank them for the support. We thank you for going to awaytravel.com/Nexus. And now, Kyle, I want to know what's going on with Chen.
Hit it very hard.
Wrong one.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? That seems generous.
I have a PhD in PvP.
So I love my new audio interface, but I need to label my buttons.
That was great. I think you may have spooked some people. You certainly spooked me.
I even have them marked. My issue is that they're both marked strategy, and one is for a different show.
I do think that Garrett should say that line because it's a fabulous line.
It is a good line.
That'd be a good line for his body check.
Oh, you're right. Hit it very hard. Hey, dude, what's going on with Chen? Because that was the last major patch, was our Chen rework. And he is going up, but he's still low.
Yes, he is the fourth lowest win rate in the game, but he has gone up 8.8%, fluctuating to 6.6. But either way, he's on his way up right now.
Yeah, and again, we're working with imperfect information, but it's the information we have to work with. So that's still a climb. That is a noticeable climb in terms of overall win rate. And
by the way, it's worth mentioning again that Hot Slogs has been extremely slow in updating anything after patches recently. It takes them about 2 weeks, and you should be using Hero's Profile for your information and builds.
Good to know. I do like that site. It's very well designed. It's very pretty. Yeah. On the last Bonanza, I was going through it and commenting on how good their graphic design was.
It's not as great for like getting big piles of win rates, but if you're looking for builds and your own profile information, once you learn to navigate it, I still don't think any 2019 website should make me hit the filter button. I just think that's weird. When I add the filters, they should just start auto updating, but whatever. Minor complaint. All right. So Chen.
Yeah. So he's
up in popularity.
He's moving up in win rate, but not skyrocketing, and yet you are seeing him all over the place.
Yes. Granted, in Diamond, there's a lot of first lock Chens, and that's perfectly fine because he does appear to be rocking the solo lane decently. He does have an issue still against Imperious Burn the Impure build, which is that pure health to damage build that he can do with his marks. But getting a solo laner, particularly in higher league, just out of the way isn't a bad thing if it's top of the line. And it is top of the line because he is beating Rexxar in a skilled match. What you want to do is kick over Misha. So you let Misha charge you or deal with the lane. And once that charge is out of the way, you kick over to Rexxar and do your keg smash and your ignite, which is why we're seeing at level 1, Eye of the Tiger being the highest win rate and most popular level 1, because it allows you to regen on the single person you're wailing in solo lane. If you are not solo lane the whole game or not fighting a Rexxar, other talents may give you better success. But when you actually get to hit someone in the face like a big slow Rexxar that you're slowing down, Eye of the Tiger is your go-to at level 1.
Interesting to know. I have not found myself against many Chens yet as a Rexxar.
And Rexxars are still winning. It's important to note that in an even skill match, the Chen probably will win, if you catch my meaning. But right now, Rexxar has been on top for so long. It's like Asmodan right now. No one's really banning him. No one's terrified, at least in my league. But Asmodan still wins tons of games and has a fine win rate just because he reigns supreme for so long. And Rexxar is still reigning supreme.
Yeah, it kind of feels like everyone just knows what to do with that hero on the field on their team, and yet there seems to be still a decent amount of confusion on how to fight against that hero on the field. The answer:
if you know how to Chen, you can counter draft Chen into Rexxar.
Yeah. So that's something. Honestly, I'm really interested to play against, but it's not something I have personally had to go up against.
Have you fought a Imperious on Rexxar? How does that go for you?
It's kind of like Artanis. Is the Imperious landing his spear? Because my answer with Artanis is he landing his swap? So if the spear's getting landed on me, not on Misha, it can be problematic for sure. And where Imperious really becomes problematic is if they have anyone visiting even a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
That's when it just is like, okay, well, I'm now a Rexxar behind a wall. I'm not used to this, but this is where I'm going to hang out for a while.
Well, and you really can't combat first pick ability with something like a Rexxar. And that's why we also see in many of the tier lists right now, like those put out by Tempo Storm, Johanna is S tier, just because you're going to need one, and there's nothing wrong with the Johanna, and there's not really anything they can do like an ETC to counter draft against you.
Yeah, just kind of a counter-free hero, right?
By the way, Jhow did put out a new tier list this week. It's very based on tournament play, so it's going to favor things like Dahaka and Malfurion in a lot of the S tier classes, and you'll go, what's that about? It's tournament play. But check that out for yourself. It's entirely map-based. We can't give you a rundown of the top tiers from Jhow because it's based on map.
I would really like to see Dahaka and Malfurion make a comeback in my games.
They are tough in Storm League. Great in coordinated play. Yeah. I think Dahaka suffers horribly right now from roots, actually. Like Anduin. You just wait for him to pop up from underground. Everyone's there waiting for Dahaka, so he has to do a subpar talent with the burrowing, and then he's missing out on some power, and Rexxar eats his lunch in siege damage.
Well, I would like the Malfurion to also be there waiting for him to come up. So, but speaking of maps, how's Chen doing on kind of a map-specific breakdown?
Yes, we don't have Braxis in the rotation right now, so one of the big solo lane rock, paper, scissors are missing from this equation, but Hanamura is currently our big solo duel for an extended period of time kind of business, and he's 48% there, as opposed to his 45% overall win rate, which went up 6% over the last week. So Cursed Hollow, you're isolated as well, 48% there. Battlefield of Eternity, 2-lane solo map, 47%. Lowest win rate is Dragonshire, which is also a very isolated map, but probably the one with the most rotations on it. So kind of like our Imperius talk there, Chen will fall.
It forces the rotation. That map absolutely forces it. Even players who don't, like, if say you have players who are ignorant to the concept of rotation. It's not something they think about. It's not something they plan for or try to execute. Dragonshire is going to force you to rotate.
Exactly.
And that's going to, by coincidence, get the Chen ganged up on.
Otherwise, you're playing like a Muradin, and win rate wise, he is occupying that same space. And let's talk a little bit about his allies here.
Oh, okay. The people he should be partying with.
Right. If you go back line and do a bunch of blur, your Dahakas, your Sonias, your Mephistos, you are just stepping on Chen's tankability toes. And you are going down to things like 28% win rates alongside Dahaka. Sonya, 35%. Now you're also probably Chen, Sonya, and the rest of your team in ranked, particularly if we're talking mid leagues, is like, well, we have 2 warriors. We don't want more than that. And you're completely missing any appeal for that carry Li Ming you're sporting along there as well.
Yeah.
Illidan, any character that's going to do the exact same thing as Chen and just dive the backline and leave your poor Kael'thas to die is not going to work out.
What I find strange is who he's winning with heroes like Ragnaros and Zagara topping the list of higher win rates when paired with a Chen, because they should also be kind of manning the solo lane.
Right. It's not about solo in this case. It's about the way the team fights go. And both Zagara and Ragnaros charge either Hydras or with Sulfurous Smash into that front line and interact with it directly while Chen disrupts the back line. So in this ideal kind of engaged situation, let's give the enemy team a Li Ming, a Thrall, and an ETC. Chen immediately flies all the way into the back line and is just completely tanking and destroying the Li Ming, where Ragnaros and Zagar are pressuring the ETC and Thrall together, meaning that they can't, without taking heavy damage or at least disruption, get back to help that Li Ming, because maybe their mid-range Kael'thas is now being threatened if the Ragnaros continues and they go aid the Li Ming.
So you were pulling the attention of the team, of the deep back line and the front line, in opposite directions.
Right. So what you want is this cloggy front line that allows Chen to be isolated and free in the back line. And we're seeing this along with his heroic 10 ability win rates. Storm, Earth, and Fire is almost at 50% win rate, whereas Wandering Keg is at 39%, kind of like Mighty Gust. It's not just like Mighty Gust, but you're going to place the enemy team onto your team a lot of the time, and you're breaking the deal that Chen is good at in the first place, this kind of Muradin style gameplay. So things like Arthas, doing a Johanna or Arthas with a Chen allows you to really clog the front line, so Chen is free on that Li Ming, that Hanzo now, with the mobility to stick to him. And this is where we should be thinking of Illidan as well. And Sonya, because ultimately what she does, while it's slightly different unless you're doing Leap, you just sort of spin until you get to Li Ming while regenerating on the front line. You're all doing the same thing. You really want to punish that front ball you're facing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good place to put. It's a good way to describe it for those three heroes.
Also, if you're running a secondary solo lane, let's just imagine the perfect map with like Cursed or something. Chen top, Zagara bottom. Well, guess what the other 2 people who aren't manning mid are doing? Rotating around and doing merc cams that neither one of those can handle, and both benefit greatly from visits. So that's why another solo laner alongside solo lane Chen is totally. It's a lot like Arthas. Arthas takes the solo lane not because he's amazing at it. It's because his regen is so bad that he can't take the damage of being main tank until 10. And if you are Arthas curious, basically what you do is have another tank like Muradin, or even Chen in this case, like I was just talking about. And if Chen or Muradin end up being main tank, having a PLE playstyle, or everyone collapses back, that's when you go Sindragosa. That's when Johanna, you go Falling Sword. You say, oh, Chen Murden is the tank now, or at least in the mind of the enemy team, due to World of Warcraft taking all the damage tanking. Now we become more aggressive to fill the role that Chen is not taking.
That's a really cool adjustment.
It's really fun too. I mean, I know I'm sitting there like, come on, peel for me, Murden. Like, you want to be main tank out there. And sometimes it works out and you get to do full damage Johanna.
That's rad. That's super freaking cool.
And on Arthas, it's even cooler because then you do Sindragosa and you also go into Death Coil builds because you want the bonus range and the bonus damage to poke that Li Ming that they're not dealing with anymore.
So the main thing I'm taking away from all of this is that Chen is very much hindered by a skill floor. So if I do find myself going up against a skilled Chen that is rocking my day, or finding myself in these situations more often, what do I pick to go against the Chen? If I find myself now fearful of a Chen pick, how do I draft?
You've got a couple of options here. One of them is Arthas, anything that just you usually do to really restrict low mobility dive, like your Greymanes, your Kerrigans, your Butchers. He's going to jump, and if he jumps into your team, you lock him down. Stukov is another option here. Chen is not going to be very mobile because once he jumps, he's there for a little bit, and putting a big old silence under him is going to ruin his day. You can try to out damage him with lock-ons because there are windows of opportunity when he has shields down now, thanks to design. Sylvanas, Kael'thas, Raynor. I think one of my favorites is something more Asmodan kind of based, where you have the Chen go on the backline. The backline's a big fat Asmodan. So you've basically got a buffer of time. And then you go, Orb, hurrah, and you slam the entire enemy. They start to back up. Now, fearful that they just took, sometimes if you're stacked, 1,000 damage in a single spell, and your whole team goes, oh, well, there goes the whole enemy team. They're running away. Chen, what are you doing back there? And they all collapse backwards and Chen dies.
Okay. All right. I like that. Also, thank you for using Fat Asmodan in a sentence.
Sure. You're welcome. Don't try to get cute with Tychus. He's too short range. He's not actually accomplishing what you want. You're going to take all your tools for interruption and burn and put them into the off tank. In this case,
Chen has a pretty high win rate against Tychuses.
And actually a really high win rate against Abathur as well, because he has a lot of tools to jump that wall and get cute on you.
Interesting. But also makes a lot of sense. So sustain or burst or both?
If you're trying to take him out?
Yeah.
You want either extreme heavy burst that comes in spurts. So Sylvanas and Raynor are really good here because they have a spike either by Raynor's trait, give him some pepper, or Sylvanas using her armor reduction and her dagger. If you are going to do
stacking bit on Sylvanas as well.
Yeah.
I really like Sylvanas now that you mention it.
So, and on Kael'thas here, just like Asmodan, he has a great win rate for the Kael'thas, but remember, you're casting this in a sort of stun for the backline for you, but keep your fire going forward because you want to scare off the main team and then isolate the Chen away from them.
That's going to take some discipline and some experience, I think, in this scenario on the part of the Kael'thas player.
And I've done it too now because it's scary. And then he turns into three pandas and you go, living bombs for you and you and I, and then I'm going to run away in a weird direction. Like you really do have to stay calm and say, Chen is a nuisance. I want to pressure the main team and then isolate him on the back end. So stun him if you have to, but really living bombs onto that ETC thrall we just talked about and keep everything forward focused.
All right. Well, rad. Well, thank you for preparing me, especially when I took kind of a vacation to quest completion town this week.
Yeah, he has, like, his overall impact on the rest of the game has been pretty minor. ETC is top tank right now. Sergeant Hammer seems to be suffering a little bit because Chen's good at just sticking to her and withstanding the hits. Then Sergeant Hammer's hitting Chen, and then the rest of the team catches up. So There are small ripples in the water, but you will see him in 10% of your games, and just don't dive with him. He's not Anubarak. He's not Butcher. He's not Kharazim. When he's back there, he's tanking and doing good. You need to win the front fight.
Great to know. Well, awesome. Well, now I know how to play with and against a Chen. I'm actually really excited to get paired up against one on my Rexar.
It's a healthy battle. I like it. I think you will lose with time. I hope we get back to late game solo picks. I do think Hanamura has too big of a impact on our overall pick philosophy right now. Basically in that you early pick your solo lane on Hanamura because you're going to run a dedicated Merker. And if you don't, you have Rexar. So it's there's just a weird lack of that interaction happening without Braxis in the rotation.
Yeah, it's... Who'd have thought that we would end up at this point where we were missing Braxis?
Just for what it did for our sensibilities in solo lane. It's funny.
It's a good training tool, if nothing else, because it's so ham-fistedly forces that.
Yeah, you are absolutely isolated, and what you have to perform in terms of holding the pad is very detailed. In fact, even Falstad can win his top lane on Dragonshire because he can say, "Guys, I'm dying, but it's going to take 3 seconds to get that dragon. Let's win." Yeah. Braxis, you die on the pad and you've already lost control of it. You're not getting points and you're losing the game.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. But I'm anxious to see this. I know, when I was last I saw it in my drafts, it was still very easy to last pick a Rexar, but it's not something like a last pick Chen is happening very often in your games.
No, but it's a lot like Anduin too, like that. No sign of it coming, just slam. I want to play this guy, and you go, all right, and thank you, nice job. Okay. But no one's tilted by it, which is really nice. They're not Novas. They're filling out a part of the game that just needs to be filled. So I'm very, very pleased with the Chen update.
Well, that's good. That's good. I see so many people talking about it. So it's clearly made a splash. The win rate's going up, even if it's not what we would maybe call impressive. But it looks healthy all across the board. So I think it's going to bring us to the end of this episode of Into the Nexus. If you'd like to write and be a part of the show for future episodes, send your emails in to itncast@gmail.com. Or if you're supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN, or you're about to, you will get access to the Patreon Discord. You can drop us messages right in there if you have a question for the show, just want to talk to us, anything of the sort. Drop it in that Discord. Thanks again, by the way, to everyone supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. And huge thanks to our producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Chris K., and Robert M. Is that coming through? Yeah.
But maybe a little.
Oh,
no,
okay.
You've been solid all. I mean, there was a point where it sounded like somebody rattled your windows with sticks, but it was a brief moment during the map section. So
good to know. Yes, whoever was out there weed whacking just sent a cascade of rocks into my window. So thank you, whoever you
Neighbors.
are, you jackass.
You can put maybe a baby on board sticker on the window kind of thing, like podcaster in room, or maybe take one of those live lights and just shine it out the window.
There you go. I like that. But before we go around the table, Kyle, where can people find you?
You can find me on the internet at Kyle Fergusson, 2 S's in Fergusson, over at Twitter at Kyle Fergusson. Be sure to check out my new solo shows. I have one called DM Gives Inspiration, where you can find this week a rundown of what sort of materials you'll need to get started DMing. And then there's another show called Kyle Explains, where I try to give you some fodder as to explaining the big topic of the week. This past week was Evangelion. It's not so much an opinion piece. It's more history, so that when you are confronted at the water cooler about, well, do you even know Evangelion? You can say, why, yes, I know these factoids now.
Rad, folks, you should go check that out. I'm on Twitter at Garrett Art. All of the podcasts that I do can be found at amove.tv. Let's Talk About Star Wars is back and weekly, so if you're not subscribed to that, you should go check it out. I'm also back doing R2T2 at fairly regular intervals. I missed last week, but it's been weird lately. I should have a new one for you very soon. Go find it, R2T2, wherever podcasts can be found. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. We'll be back next week. And if everything goes according to plan, by the way, we're probably going to start recording the show earlier, looking at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. So unless something gets in the way of that, we should probably be flipping the switch on that next week. So if you're watching live, and if they keep mowing the lawn at this time, we may have to reassess that time. But until then, good luck and have fun, everyone.
Take care.